losing my breath, running around my head. Been playing it cool, but I've been pulling the thread. Maybe I'm too hard on myself, and maybe it ain't good for my health. All I want is, all I want to feel your love. That's all I want. To feel your love. All I want is, been feeling the weight, don't wanna let it show. Looking up at the stars, 'cause I don't wanna feel low. Maybe I'm too hard on myself, and maybe it ain't good for my health. All I want is, all I want to feel your love. That's all I want. To feel your love. All I want is, all I want to feel your love.
Tonight, the top drivers in the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge get back to racing for the summertime. So why don't you fire up the grill, set up your TV and streaming devices, and get ready to see how drivers fare out tonight for the 2006 edition of the 3M Performance 400 from iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway here on FTFGG. Welcome to the Irish Hills of Michigan. My name's Justin Prince. Along some of the booth toward tonight's action is Jacob Hitz with our producer, Zach Johnson. As we get ready to start off the second of the 3 mini-seasons for this series, it's summertime action, and it starts tonight, Jacob, at Michigan.
Brand new season, and I tell you what, this racetrack, Justin, it is hot, it is slick. These drivers for these next 40 laps are going to be begging for grip. The air temperature, the ambient temperature right now, 90 degrees, and that's going to change as time moves on. But you got to keep in mind, it's 2 o'clock in sim. By the time this thing is done, we may have burned through an hour. The air temp's not going to change that much. If anything, it might get a little bit warmer. The track temperature right now is almost at 140 degrees. This track is cooking. These tires are going to be screaming for mercy by the time we get toward the end of this deal.
And plenty to talk about for tonight's action, but first things first, let's talk about, for those tuning in for the first time for this series, how this series in turn works. This is the second of 3 mini-series the first two mini-series. The springtime, which was the Daytona 500 for the series to the Coke 600, counts the first. Then this portion from Michigan all the way to Richmond helps decide the postseason grid for later on this season for the chase for the WINSTEL Cup. And plenty of competitors returning for the summertime, expecting a lot of fast drivers in turn. Look who's at the top of the board. One of the drivers we have high expectations for, Jacob, Jose Solis Jr., the defending winner of the title from the spring.
He is speedy, there's no doubt about it. Of course, a couple of guys are qualifying out in front of him, so he's going to have a little bit of traffic to deal with. Nick Doucette, Zach Campbell, they've qualified in front of that 11. We'll see if anybody else can get out in front of him. The track position is going to be key here just because, like I mentioned, the track is so hot, it's going to be really difficult to get other lanes to work in, to rubber in the racetrack. So track position really is going to help out. Yeah, we'll probably have to deal with pit stops in there, but I'm not worried about whether or not it's under green or under caution, really. Passing is going to be the big issue for these guys. If you can't pass around the racetrack, if you start out back, you're pretty much going to be finishing out back.
And don't forget, when it comes to this series, 37% is the fuel limit, meaning multiple pit stops expected throughout the night tonight. These drivers, you will be shredding through those tires with a track temperature of almost 140 degrees. Under 2 minutes to go left in qualifying, and plenty of competitors looking to step things up. Plenty of new drivers battling through in the non-charter machines, it's worth noting. With many new cars you'll see throughout the season. Darrell Weiner, for example, bringing Furniture Row Racing to the grid in the 78, starting off their qualifying. Matt Skipper moving over to the 16. TJ Crampton driving the 84th for this campaign for Red Bull Racing, and what was their original first campaign. And the 44 has Chad Wolf amongst those coming in, as well as a few others we've seen spot starts for in terms of their car numbers, getting the chance to get some more experience starting tonight.
It'll be really interesting for these guys. It'll be kind of just thrown in the deep end of the pool for this first race. Michigan's not an easy racetrack, especially when the track is this hot. It's tough to pass. I'm just going to kind of keep mentioning the same stuff over and over and over. Track position, track position, track position for these guys. If you're starting in the back thinking, oh yeah, I'll be able to fly through the field without a problem, you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in, and, you know, there's always that potential you could cause some contact, turn somebody around, put them in the wall, and then people aren't going to be too happy with you throughout the next couple of weeks. So it's a long season. You know, we got to go from here in Michigan all the way to Richmond. There are a lot of races in between. So these guys it's a long season. Got to be patient.
Drivers finishing the final few moments for qualifying, and it was hit upon by Jacob. Many of the top competitors from the springtime are ready to battle it out in the hot temperatures of the summertime. The Irish Hills of Michigan, the first battleground for the summer portion of the Gen 4 Challenge for WINSTEL. Qualifying now wrapping up, 38 entrants for the 3M Performance 400 today. All of them looking to battle it out in the heat. Qualifying is complete. It's time to take a look at your starting grid from Michigan. On the pole today, it's Zach Campbell, the driver from the Porsche Tiger Esports Super Cup and one of the top competitors last campaign, dropping the Abraham Motorsports 19. Nicholas Doucette starts outside front row in the 24th. Then it's Thomas Lewandowski for the Wood Brothers, followed by Jose Solis Jr. in 4th. Christian Budd rounds out the top 5 with Christina Ryan, one of her best runs in qualifying this season, in 6th. James Holzer's up to 7th for qualifying. We was speedy in the sessions throughout the season. Dylan Roberts, Gabriel Mauricio, and Emily Howe round up the top 10.
Andrew Phipps and that 39 Penske machine lines up in row 6 with Sean Peleg on the outside. Larry Pace and Parker Alexander make up row number 7. Alexander Russell and Marcus Lindsay back in row 8. Justin Rowden and Ryan Doucette back in row number 9. Alex Kolonix and Tyler Head round out the top 20.
Then it's Brendan McGee in 21st, the other Anaheim Motorsports machine amongst the top 20 qualifiers. Then you have Andy Trupiano, 22nd, TJ Crampton, 23rd. Ryan Dunkelberger is now driving the 27 for this season, 24th. Then it's 25th, Ben Hancock, and one of the other Abraham Motorsports entries. Alvy Osman, 26th. Lane Tidwell, 27th, driving the number 49 machine, while Timothy Latham for Penske Racing, 28th. Chad Walt starts 29th, and Daryl Weininger, we mentioned that name, starting in 30th, Jacob.
31st is Brandon Cruz Montseve. 32nd, we've got Philip Snipes. Then 32nd, Christopher Tate. 34th is Ken Huff. 35th, Chris Hancock. Matt Skipper lines up 36th. Lilac Zier in 37th, and shotgun in the field, Hayden Repas back in the 38th position.
That's hooked up to Monmouth tonight's running order of note. EOL penalty to Philip Snipes due to PC issues. Marcus Lindsay not able to make it to the starting grid, was set to start in 16th. That is a big bad luck break for the number 6 machine tonight. Keys to victory, first of all, for tonight as we get ready to go racing 40 laps here at Michigan.
Well, it's simple. Don't wreck. It's going to be very difficult to pass around this racetrack. If you're too aggressive early on, you're probably going to find out that it's tough to pass here the hard way, and you're going to spin out. You know, the racing line, it's probably going to be 1.5 grooves right in the middle of the racetrack. As this race goes on, these drivers are going to be able to fan out, get some more rubber in the racetrack, and get some more grip. You're probably not going to see guys too down low. Probably that first seam and above is where you're going to have your best bet. You get too low, you're going to get loose off corner exit. Believe me, I've done it here from the lead, coming off turn 2. Get too low, thing gets loose on you. You can't save it. It looks like we're going to get a couple more laps behind the pace truck, but another key for these guys, you got to keep in mind fuel. We've seen an awful lot of fuel strategy races happen at this racetrack for whatever reason, especially in this era. I can think of Mark Martin coasting his way to the finish line after Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson ran out of fuel here back in 2009. Fuel can always be an impact here, especially if we're able to go green. Cautions could shake up strategy a little bit, but if we go green wire to wire, the calculators are going to be smoking for all 38 teams tonight.
So one more pace lap until we get rolling. Marcus Lindsay may have time possibly to get rolling, but like we've been starting from the pit lane. Your contenders, though, for tonight, because a lot of those contenders have the track position. Others, well, they're starting for the pit lane. We just mentioned one.
Yeah, well, Marcus Lindsay starting out back, starting from pit road, that's really not a good shot. Jose Solis Jr. normally has a really fast car. Christian Budd in the 17, same deal. Zach Campbell starting from pole. We'll have to see how that plays out. Nick Doucette is always somebody that's really fun to watch here in the Gen 4 Challenge. If he's not somebody that's high up on your radar, and even the other Doucette, Ryan Doucette, yeah, he's starting back toward the back of the field. Oh, where is he? I know I read his name off. He's starting back in the 18th position, yes. So he doesn't have optimal track position, but he still might be able to pick his way through the field. And, it wouldn't never hurt. I know Christian Budd, the last time I saw a race with these guys, Christian Budd was another that was right up in the thick of things until the very end. You never really know with these cars. They're almost an equalizer in a sense with who's able to take off and who's able to fall behind and just not able to get their way up through the field. Just have to keep our eyes out.
Glad to have you with us here from Michigan International Speedway here on iRacing. In some time just past around 2:20 p.m. Track temperature 138 degrees Fahrenheit, 90 degrees the air temperature. Default winds at 2 miles per hour to the north. The 3M Performance 400 all set to go here on FDFGG. Zach Campbell on the inside, Nicholas Doucette on the outside. Barney the flagman waits up in the stand. It's time to go racing. It's summertime action in WINSTEL. We're underway from Michigan. Oh, and Zach Campbell over the racetrack, nearly wrecks it for the lead. Lewandowski looking for the lead on the bottom already, 4 wide down the backstretch.
They were 4 wide in the back, 4 wide up here at the front. Thought that 24 Nick Doucette was going to get squeezed up into the wall. Here comes that 48 Sean Peleg up the middle. That 48 gets a little bit loose. They are 5 wide coming off turn 4, side by side for the lead.
They all make it stick. Solis Jr. nearly with the squeeze. First lead lap of the summertime goes to Campbell, but Lewandowski was a top 10 contender in the spring, looking for one of his best starts to a race. In WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge action still, Solis Jr. nearly spins into the back.
Yeah, Jose Solis Jr. got knocked back early on, and he got too aggressive, tried to go below that first seam like I talked about. There's just no grip down there. He went down there, and that thing almost stepped down on him. Now he's stuck in the middle 3 wide as here comes Nicholas Doucette looking for second on Lewandowski, and Zach Campbell, he's gone.
Marcus Lindsay not able to start things off. That could be major for the playoff implications in the postseason later on in this series. He's the first up possibly of the night, if not several laps down if he can't get rolling. But the draft can be pretty substantial if you're able to play it out right down these straightaways, Jacob. We've seen a bit of that with Doucette. Others struggling to be able to set themselves up to utilize that draft.
The draft definitely does have an impact, and it allows you to catch some guys that you really didn't think you were going to be able to catch. As look out, Jose Solis Jr. Special delivery. He's going to go 3 wide down here in that FedEx machine. I'm not sure that's going to work out. Didn't have a good angle going from bottom to bottom, stuck side by side with Christina Ryan, and he's going to get really loose off 4.
It's been amazing seeing some of the aggressive moves, and that's an understatement we've seen from the 11 several times. The springtime champion has sent it hard, sharply at the yellow line on entry. Again, now below the first seam, nearly spins it again.
And he's going backward. Remember, he started in the 3rd spot, and he's already back to 9th. He's about to fall out of the top 10. 4 wide as here comes the 55, Emily Howe up the middle.
Howe trying to take advantage of all this, battling it with Christina Ryan. Ryan gives space for Howe, sticking above that first seam, 3 wide still. Keep in mind, Mauricio looking to close in. Of note, Weininger having issues from the mid-pack. Has parked his machine. No caution, we stay green. Significant damage, 78, as they go 2 by 2.
Yeah, really interesting to see what happened to that 78, but so far things have been kind of calm, I guess. You got that 11 just kind of drifting it around the bottom of the racetrack, and he's getting passed all over the place on the outside. Here comes Mauricio and that 31 around the top side. The 55 just got by. Tyler Head started in 20th, and here he is now up into the picture. Alex Kalonix is there as well.
Of note, Marcus Lindsay finally comes out of the pit lane 3 laps down. Lindsay will likely need plenty of attrition to be able to get some of those laps back tonight. But as things settle on down for a tiny bit, keep in mind, already several major movers. Matt Skipper up 7 spots in the back of the pack, but 6 spots for Pellegoretti, 6 for Kalonix, 8 for Tyler Head, albeit that could shuffle with the battle they're having currently for 12. As one in car to the wall.
Look,
that's McGee.
The 84. Man, McGee just got the wall. I think he's going to be all right, but they are stacking up trying to get around him back here. Here comes a 49 in the bottom of Tidwell. Russell goes by as well. I think that 9 will get back up to speed, but if you hit the wall, not only are you damaging your race car, but you're losing so much momentum, and the momentum is so key here as Russell gets a little loose up in front of that 9.
Again, this is now the second pack as a result of that major checkup from the wall contact for McGee. They lost about 1.3 seconds to Andy Trupiano, the back driver of Pack 1, for reference. And all of these drivers trying the different lines, Jacob. We've seen this a lot in when there's some of the grip levels like this. Drivers will try and search for the grip.
And a lot of guys in this lead pack are saying, the heck with it, I'm going up by the wall, especially down in 1 and 2, as there goes the 45 of Kalonix way up the racetrack.
Here we go for second.
He's got the grip, as here comes that battle. Lewandowski side by side, James Holzer, that 09, giving him a push. Doucette stuck on the outside.
Lewandowski wanting that spot back, gave some chances for Nicholas Doucette. Doucette weeble wobbles up the track. And James Holzer goes for the Tekken turn as Lewandowski back up to second. Campbell's broken ahead by more than a second from all this squabbling.
That's the benefit of clean air. You know, we talked about the draft and how much of an impact it was going to have, but clean air just overpowers it. And with these guys battling side by side, that's just allowed Campbell to scoot away.
Checking each other up, absolutely. Look who's coming, though. Pellig was around top 15 speed we've seen at times last year, Jacob. His best run in the Gen 4 Challenge this year. Already attacking for the top 4 here on the outside. Around the Hendrick Motorsports team making your contact.
Ooh, 3 wide around the outside. He definitely doesn't have the grip, but he's got the power to make it work around the outside. 3 wide with Bud and Doucette. He's going to have to try it again. Now he's got the 8 car. Dylan Roberts right behind. He had the right idea. That thing just stepped out at the wrong time, and he couldn't get back on the gas to power by those guys down the backstretch.
Oh, and a bit of smoke up ahead from James Holzer, who somehow just appeared in second.
Yeah, he was blinking with Doucette when they were side by side, and then came back down the back straightaway, and sure enough, he's now in second. So, you know, sometimes netcode and blinking in and out can hurt you. Sometimes it can help you. It helped Holzer. It definitely didn't help anybody around him right now, but he is whipping that thing around the racetrack. Oh, trouble! 1 car hard in the wall. Big crash off turn number 2. Multiple cars. Parker Alexander in the fence. Justin Rowden hard in the outside wall. Andy Trippiano involved in it as well. I saw the 29 go hard up and into the outside wall. Coming off of turn number 2. Need to get a replay. It looks like that was all started by the Blue Deuce, Parker Alexander.
Yes, indeed, heart of the pack, and that was in the midst of the lead grouping. For reference, we're under caution for the first time this summer. The battle you're referring to was for about 14th position between Kalonix and Alexander, who are both weeble-wobbling for the contact.
Oh,
here's a look at the replay. You've seen this.
I mean, they both just get loose. The 2 washes up, and Kalonix just dumps him, but nowhere to go. I mean, he was holding his line. He did come down just a hair, but Parker Alexander says he's going to claim responsibility for that because he does come up a little more than that 45 comes down, and hard hit.
Well, both of them nearly spun it out, keep in mind, Jacob, we see.
Yeah.
Kalonix got really loose. Alexander weebled up the track in the loose moment. But look at the hard hits. Rowden, bad luck continues in this series. The 22 slamming into the wall, and then everybody else in the other grouping trying to dodge it.
Yeah, they were lucky that everybody just stayed up to the high side. I think that 22 of Trippiano may be okay. Only slapped the wall with the left side after getting hit in the right. And the damage may not be too bad on that thing. We'll find out. But pits are open, and pit road's a very busy place.
Just about everybody coming on down, several of them with broken axles, and are able to make it, keep in mind. No fast repair for them to take, however. Only 1 driver stayed out, Brandon Mansivas, looking to get some bonus points for leading laps. Campbell was the first drivers into their boxes. Rowden amongst those squeaking in. Timothy Latham 2 tires to the back of the pack. Most of the field 4 tires. Solis Jr. 2 tires to take the lead off the lane. Look at the rush off. It might be Holzer who may have beaten Campbell. We'll see how they sort it.
That was bold. I mean, that was bold. Taking 2 tires. And he wasn't the only one. The 12 of Timothy Latham did as well. 32 of Alexander Russell. Everybody else took 4. And then there's this 20 car. Monsive, who started way in the back. He stays out. And, I don't know where he thinks this is going to work out.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ducks in. Here's the problem with the duck-in strategy at Michigan. This is a quickie yellow track. To come in with the 2 to go signal, it's a green flag penalty if you come into the pit lane with the pit lane closed for you on entry.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see
out here, but I have a feeling he's just going to stay out. Now he is going to pit. Holzer's still blinking, but yeah, pit road definitely closed. You can see it right there on the lights.
Absolutely closed, and that will be a major penalty potentially for the 20. Yes, black flag given, meatball flags for Parker Alexander, Justin Rowden for mandatory repairs. Truppiano also coming in with major damage repair during this caution flag. Philip Snipes coming back on down to top off. So when to go into the restart, Solis Jr. control the pack. There goes Truppiano after being involved in the contact. Holzer in second on 4 tires. Then Lewandowski, Campbell, Nicholas Doucette, Timothy Latham on 2. Christian Budd, Dylan Roberts, Christina Ryan, and Sean Pellick rounding up the top 10. Gonna be wild. We've seen two tires work at times last season. Keyword at times.
This isn't a place where two tires is going to work. I mean, he's just going to get... We saw how loose he was on 4 new tires. With 2 new tires, he's going to be out of control, and he very well may be the caution. I'll be honest. Like, I know Jose Solis Jr., he's a heck of a driver. He's a wheelman. I don't see this working out for him in his favor. The only way it happens is if we don't have a lap of green flag racing from here to the end of the race. Otherwise, that 11 is halfway up a certain creek without a paddle. I'll just put it that way.
We'll see how this works out, indeed. By the way, Andy Trupiano, black flag, exiting closed pit lane, trying to keep on the lead lap. So 2 different drivers picking up penalties during this sequence of caution period. 27 laps to go in the 3M Performance 400 here at Michigan. iRacing pace truck is off. Field heading to the restart zone. An incredible race so far from MIS. Back to racing from Brooklyn, Michigan.
It's a solid start from Solis Jr. up on the outside. With the tires and everything being worn, the outside would have been the line to go. It's tough to get a good launch on the inside, but James Holzer is going to do that and a whole lot more out of the gate. He's going to go for the lead. They are 3 and 4 wide back behind him. Hello, Ryan gets really sideways underneath the 48, but they all make it work.
Still 4 wide in the heart of the pack, worth noting, with the 31, the 45, 32 and company. You see that? Back to 3 wide. Up for the lead. Solis Jr. going for the slider again on the 2 tires. Campbell makes it 3 wide, wanting the lead back. He was the quickest driver, long run, last run out. Nowhere to go, though.
Well, Campbell was fast on short run and on long run in that number 19. He's the dominant car of the day, no doubt about it, but he's got a wall in front of him with Holzer on the outside. Jose Solis Jr. protecting that bottom side. Single file behind those guys. Here comes Nick Doucette and the 8 machine of Dylan Roberts off the corner.
3 wide, heading off to turn 3. No help for Campbell, though. Doucette goes to the middle. Campbell tries to stick it to the yellow line. First seen Solis Jr., second seen on up for Holzer. All of them leaning the right rear tires out. Better run for Holzer. Holzer's got the lead.
Yeah, you saw that bobble coming out of that 19 to Campbell there. Couldn't quite hold the bottom coming off turn 4. Thing just stepped out on him. Had to breathe the throttle for a second, and he's going to pay as here comes that 22 serving that pit road penalty.
Gonzalez already has served his respective penalty in the 20 machine. 33rd position, half a track back. 2 by 2 for the race lead still. Now it gets intriguing. Solis Jr. in that grip with the 2 tires. It's starting to show the effects after just a couple laps, as you were thinking.
Oh, man. Zach Campbell really got the apron that time. Got both left sides under that yellow line, but he's able to make it work, and that 8 car steps out as well. It's like we're driving on ice at this point. I know it gets cold in Michigan, but you would think these guys would need skates, not tires, to get around here.
Remember watching parts of the broadcast from the 2006 running here at Michigan, and some of the major bits were actually about the heat and the intensity of said heat and cooking steaks on the grill. I believe DW a couple times grilled steaks as part of the pre-promo bumpers entering that event in the real world. But caution is out, down the back.
Oh, the 12.
Timothy Latham.
Latham's around. Phipps is in it as well. The 2 Penske cars.
And we're under caution as, yes, Andrew Phipps was, I think, the trigger maybe. With help from Timothy Latham.
Yeah. Spotter not quite clear, and he found out the hard way and got the rear tires picked up off the ground. And that 40 machine of Christopher Tate went around as well. Didn't hit anything. Just lost it trying to split up through the middle. We'll get a replay. I mean, he just came up off the corner, threw a slider on that 12, and he wasn't clear. Picked the rear tires up off the ground. That sent him around.
Look at that, though, with Christopher Tate. You seen...
I know.
What a drift to get through it.
Kept his foot in it, that's for sure. He's going to get a discount on those tires because they're worn out now.
Seeing at full speed, look at the 40. Philip Snipes just avoiding contact as one of the cars slid back up towards the track. And Alexander, or rather the 40 of Tate, just avoiding the contact. So, bad day if you're a Penske Racing driver.
Yeah, really. Here's
getting
3.
Yeah.
Oh,
Out.
pit stops. Oh, maybe not. No, they all stayed out. Well, not everybody. Christian Bud's going to lead a couple down, but they were breaking ankles trying to get to pit road with Lewandowski and Holzer, and most of these guys stayed out. It's a lot of the back half of the field that are going to come in. Couple of guys that were at the front, though. Tyler Head in the 4, 17 Christian Budd, as I mentioned. The 9 coming in. Brennan McGee. And then those in the back.
So 15 drivers elect to stay out under this caution flag period, just approaching the halfway mark, and that makes things really intriguing on how you slice the strategies, Jacob. How do you think this could play out now, knowing we made it 11 laps to start off? Some of the drivers now on 7-lap stints coming in, others staying out. How does this play out now? It may be a one-stopper from here regardless. It might be 2. With the fuel difference, as something's just happened to Emily Howe on track. She's in the grass.
What the heck?
What in the world?
Spun. Turned down across the nose of the 48 and spun out. I mean, turned dead across. What the? She was in line, drove by the 98 and the 8 and the 48, and then just turned across the nose of the 48 and got herself dumped.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, she doesn't lose the spots, by the way, since it's pace laps, but still, not what you expect to see, to say the least, right there. By the way, Andrew Phipps still getting significant damage repair. Marcus Lindsay has gotten a couple waiver rounds due to his technical issues and technical failures earlier. So, Marcus Lindsay, there's still a chance. All he needs is to gain one more lap back, at least.
Yeah. Here's
And here-
the replay of what happened with the 55.
Yeah, and this is the weird thing. Emily Howe's right where they need to be in line. And then...
Goes by the 98, goes by the 8, goes by the 48 at Peleg, and then stops and turns left. Not clear. What in the world?
It's worth noting that Emily Howe is organizing a special event through WINSTEL that takes place in about a month and a half, and perfect time to bring it up, actually, with that TV time on June the 30th, running 45 laps at Talladega. That being presented by Brandon Cruz DFS as well. 8:15 p.m. Eastern, $300 purse utilizing the 2021 Gen 6 cars with the custom fixed setup for Talladega. Check that 117. It is 45 for the heats to get into the field. Again, you can see that later on this summer. So with that, Holzer, the control car for the restart here, Jacob.
Yeah, this is gonna be something with Holzer up there up front. You know, he's had the speed. The internet issues haven't helped him a ton. We'll see if that really throws a wrench in this. But I watch that 21 on the outside, and Jose Solis Jr. If he gets a good enough restart, he may make it 3 wide here on the bottom.
Holzer in control of the pack halfway through the race. 3M Performance 400 backing away from Michigan. Solis Jr. waiting for the chance to try and make the move, possibly. 2x2, first one to duck out is Galactic for the battle for 10th position. Still to the bottom goes Holzer to look to slide it.
He had to protect that bottom because he knew Jose Solis Jr. was going to make a run of that inside, so he protected it pretty well. He got a good lead up off turn number 2, and they're already trying to go 3 wide. Here comes Campbell. He's not done yet. He's going to try and take it back to the bottom. 3 wide once again. It's going to stick the 11 in the middle. It's not where he wants to be, but that's where he's going to be stuck.
Campbell trying to make it work under the first seam, though. Holzer bubble. Here he goes. 2x2. Now 3 wide for second again.
Man, Holzer almost wasn't clear of Solis Jr. I don't know if that 11 had to lift or what, but they almost made contact. Here comes that 48 of Peleg as well, right at the middle. Right next to his Hendrick teammate, that 24, Nick Doucette.
Still looking to make the run to the inside. Peleg with that. Emily Howe still after the slide to the grass, waiting in the wings. The battle with Dylan Roberts. 2x2 for the lead. Lewandowski lurking the outside for it. Campbell dropping back. Nicholas Doucette nearly trips into the 19.
Man, Holzer drove it in really, really deep and just able to clear that 21 up off the corner. Didn't think he was going to have a shot. They are 4 wide back behind these guys with Kolonix, the 8 car up in there. And Ryan Doucette on the bottom almost gets into the 45, and he is loose down there in that Robbie Gordon car. Whoa, and so is Campbell. Campbell was in a 4-wheel power slide off the corner.
Nearly spun into the heart of the pack. There's the 3 wide you're referring to. But as that's gone on, Holzer single file. Nicholas Doucette looking for second. Campbell
there we go.
back.
There goes Tyler Head around. He got turned by the 17 of Christian, but they saved it. That was all started when Ryan Doucette washed up the racetrack and got up into the 4 of Tyler Head, but they keep on rolling. He's going to hemorrhage a whole bunch of spots, but we're still green.
Towerhead dropping back to 21st position with that contact we referred to. But Nicholas Doucette wants the spot, wants the lead. James Holzer, technical issues may be a factor. Doucette with a better pole. Coming to 16 laps to go. Nicholas Doucette to the race lead for the first time tonight.
If anything, that technical issue that the 09 has, it helps him break the draft when he was out in front. Now he's got to stay there so he can stay in the draft of that 24, not lose too much time, even though we know how much clean air helps.
Absolutely, with the rotation and how this is played out tonight, the top 2 looking to break away. Campbell still fighting out with Bellig as well as Solis Jr. for reference. 3 wide, nearly the third. Trouble down the front straight away. That's Matt Skipper.
Skipper just got loose off 4. But it ran it back up into the middle of the racetrack, but no caution for it. We stay green.
That may have had big implications, but the pit window is opening. Larry Pace coming in this time has dropped to 19th after the restart. The first driver of those who pinned under the last caution, Jacob, is currently Christian Budd, who is in 13th. So the window is opening for drivers as there goes the 50.
I think it's a little early to make the call just because these guys are still a little too loose. We already saw one spin that didn't bring out a caution.
Trouble, Jose Solis Jr.
And there goes the 11 up into the wall. Can he get it off the wall and keep it going straight? Yes, but he's going to lose half a dozen spots, maybe more. Oy, that got close.
Emily Howell having to check up big time to avoid major contact. Mauricio trying to squeeze in, nearly puts Solis Jr. now again does in the wall.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours for that 11, I guess. Man.
So its strategy for the 11 goes from solid to not so solid in the span of about 3 or 4 laps. Doucette and Holzer top 2, expecting pit stops approaching for the majority of the pack in the next few moments. Still, as this bears out, keep in mind, those drivers on the alternate strategy may be players here.
Man.
Trouble!
Oh, that 55 almost got dumped off the front bumper of the 17, as we've got guys pitting this time. Holzer's coming in, so is the 8 of Dylan Roberts. So the pit window is open, but I'm not sure we're done wrecking yet, because, I mean, that 55 all but wrecked. She's going to come in this time, as well as the 7, the 21. Oh, they're beating, they're banging. We're good. Caution! Trouble! It's the 12 and the 20. Latham and and the 27 got turned around. Dunkelberger got loose and then got run over from behind by the 40 of Christopher Tate. The 20, the 12, and the 90, nowhere to go. Caution is out.
Well, this gets wild. Campbell, Lewandowski, Ryan Howe, Holzer, Roberts, Doucette, Ryan Doucette, all came in just as the caution was waving or just after the caution started waving. They all have the time to complete their service, but lose all the track position possibly in the process depending on the cycles. Maybe, in fact, cycling to the race lead if they kept the lap. I believe they have.
Yeah, just going back and looking. Yes, all these guys that pitted, at least that were in the lead, made it before the caution came out. So pits were still open. And here you see 27, and at first I thought he was just trying to pit, but he just gets loose and then gets hit by the 40. You see 27 steps out on him. Nowhere for Tate to go. And then the 12 gets into the back of the 20 trying to check up, and it comes down and hits the 90.
Slavik Sire amongst those in the contact. Still in the top 15, though. Able to hold on to it. So let's take a look at it one more time full speed, and this is the tough thing. When the tires really start to go away, you can see what happens. These were some of the drivers, mind you, who hit the previous caution.
Those guys just pitted. They're going to be in the lead. So they didn't go lap down.
Yep. Huge for them.
It's are open.
So the field gets a little bit flipped. Doucette and company coming on in. But remember, those who just came in, Lewandowski, Holzer, Roberts, Christina Ryan, Ryan Doucette, all in good spots with how this plays out. A huge W, and then some for them. Also a possible W, and will be a W for Marcus Lindsay, who gets the lucky dog and is on the lead lap for the first time. Larry Pace and Zach Campbell also able to stay out with this caution. The first one off the pit lane is Nicholas Doucette in the race for 9th place for the restart.
2 tires from Doucette, Peleg, and Russell. Everybody else with 4. Now, on those that just pitted before the caution, Larry Pace, 2 tires. Zach Campbell, Thomas Lewandowski, Emily Howe, 2 tires. So we've got a good mix here now between who took 2 and who took 4.
Yeah, and here's the wild thing, especially for Larry Pace. Remember, Larry came in 2 laps earlier than the majority of the field there, took the 2 tires in what would have been green flag racing.
Yep.
So that would have been a very major call if they didn't get the caution there for Larry Pace in the first place. And now he's the leader from it. So 10 laps to go this time by. And a lot of different strategies. You mentioned the 2 tire calls. Holzer the first on the 4 tires. In the pack, about a quarter, or rather a third of the field on 2 tires. As we come up to the restart, we'd like to take the time to remember what's coming up next. The Racing to Remember Joey Mendoza 200 at Daytona's road course. Be sure to tune in here on FTFGG for what's expected to be some intriguing racing, but a night to remember. Joey Mendoza, Jacob.
Yeah, 2 important races tonight and tomorrow. Reflecting and remembering on Joey Mendoza, obviously tonight at Daytona Road Course, tomorrow for Monday Night Racing at Eldora. So, we'll 8:45 start time for that race tonight, a little after 8 o'clock start time tomorrow for Monday Night Racing. And, of course, we're here to cover tonight's action for FTF. And we're racing, but the racing's not really the important part of tonight's FTF race. So, previously scheduled race that just felt that tonight was the fitting point to honor and think of Joey and the entire Mendoza family tonight.
8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, start time for FTF coverage for the Racing to Remember Joey Mendoza 200 at Daytona's road course. Well, with 9 laps to go in the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge and its summer opener, the 3M Performance 400 at Michigan, it's Larry Pace, Zach Campbell, Emily Howe, Thomas Lewandowski, the top 4 for the restart. iRacing Pace truck is off, coming down to the final 18 miles from MIS. The Irish Hills ready to hear the engines roar again. Green flag back out.
Oh, man. Really rough start there for Pace. Zach Campbell with the better jump. They're going to go 4 wide for second, and now 4 wide for the lead. Here comes the 09 of Holzer. Down on the bottom, they are still 4 wide, and Holzer's going to take it all away. Just on 4 tires. The first guy on 4 tires, and he's long gone off too.
Holzer now has to play defense, though. The next driver on 4 for reference is Dylan Roberts in 5th. He blocks the middle line, trying to hold off Lewandowski. Howe trying to go for 3rd. Roberts following the 55. Campbell trying to 4-wheel drift it. 4 wide behind him for the battle for 5th and 6th.
Larry Pace is the cork in the bottle right now. As soon as they get him out of the way, the floodgates are going to open. He gets turned by the 48 down into the 98 of Christina Ryan. They all hang on. The 50 just gets out of the gas and gets out of the way. Still stuck 4 wide. The 7 of Ryan Doucette is up and into the wall. Let's see if he can keep it going. They're 5 wide. He's sideways. And now Tyler Head gets turned into the 50, and they're wrecking off turn 2. There goes the 9 of Brendan McGee, hard up into the outside wall. Everybody else scampers to avoid the 50 of Larry Pace, and the 9 of Brendan McGee, and Larry Pace was wrecking for about 2 laps, and finally it brings out the caution.
Caution flag is out, 7 laps to go here from MIS. Boy, oh boy, did things get busy and crazy fast. Larry Pace in his call, it didn't work out.
Larry Pace off the pace right there. That's what that was. It just, you know, you would think maybe with the 2 tires the strategy worked, but it just didn't work out for him. Couldn't quite keep up the speed compared to everybody else. And I mean, just right in the thick of it. The 48 comes down. You'll see right here, this is what I was talking about initially. All right, well, we'll skip that, and we'll just get right to the point there. You see the 7 loose down to the 4, and then the 50 comes up and hits Tyler Head, turns him around and down to the 9. I think the 49 also got a piece of it when the 9 came back up across the racetrack. Lane Tidwell, and that Serta machine.
A lot of hard hits again in the mix to the pack. Yep. And keep in mind, that was after 4 wide down the front stretch, as you talked about there. So it was already wild.
Yeah, the 48 gets into the back of the 50, into the side of the 50, down into the 98. The 50 lifts to get out of it so he doesn't get turned. And then just everybody doesn't lift. The 7's up into the wall. That gets him sideways. And the 4 gets a little loose, and then the 50 comes up, can't quite make the corner with the 4 on his outside. I don't even know if he knew he was 4 wide, to be honest. And had 2 guys up on the outside. But there you go.
Ryan Doucette having to come to the pit lane after all that. A few others in Hayden Repas, Brendan McGee coming back on down, Larry Pace coming in as a result of the caution flag. With about 5 laps to go, under 5 to go when we get back underway, coming to 5 to go now. Holzer, Campbell, Lewandowski, Roberts, Howe, the top 5, and it could go to anybody with the way this is now turning out, with how crazy the restarts are getting.
Yeah. This has been wild, and you know, Holzer blanking, that's never good, but I believe we do at least get 1 green and white checker here, so we may be using it. I have a feeling the way these guys keep racing.
And remember, it's a different type of restart procedure in this series when it comes to the GWC period, where contrary to how things work out, essentially, when it comes to WINSTEL competition, you get to green-white checker territory. It's basically past the point of return where you get to that mark where you trigger the extra laps. No cautions will come out during that period. You're racing to the green.
Yeah, so if they junk it up or restart, we keep going no matter what. Even if there are cars still stopped in the racing line when the leaders come back around. You know, we're going to keep going. We're finishing under green, but we only get that 1 attempt. So we'll see how these guys pull it off.
And already some of the drivers may have the essence of beef from what is being discussed by some who are in the pit lane. But with 4 to go for the restart, we'll see how things arise here. Some of the drivers who tried the 2-tire call slipped back quickly for reference. Alexander Russell. The interesting thing is, amongst those who lost a ton of ground compared to earlier, Christian Budd, 13th for the restart, right with Russell back there.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how Zach Campbell's going to do here in this 19. Up on the outside, starting second. If you can get a good enough launch coming up off turn 2, I think you may have a shot to win this race and get by Holzer and retake that lead. But other than that, man, it's going to be tough to get by that 09 without moving him up out of the way and probably wrecking him. So
yeah,
we're going to have 4 laps, 3 laps for them to wreck. And then I assume if they wreck on the last lap, we just keep on racing. So they have 3 laps to wreck for us to go to overtime. Otherwise, we'll keep on playing the feud.
Holzer so far tonight, 13 led laps. Campbell has led 11. The rest of the laps, 3 for Jose Solis Jr. after the 2-tire call. Monsibus led a lap. Larry Pace led 1 lap before calamity ensued, and Nicholas Doucette 6. But it's time to get back to racing. 4 to go from Michigan International Speedway for the start the second season for 2022 for the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge. Holzer in control of the pack. They went 4 wide on the last restart. How will they go this time? Green flag is out, back underway. Lewandowski tries to time it up, goes for the bump, goes for 3 wide as Holzer tries to block it.
Better launch on that outside from Campbell as they go down into 1. The only reason they got to 4 wide is because Pace didn't quite get the good launch. Here comes Holzer. I don't think he lifted there in that middle line. He's not quite clear. Now I think he's going to be clear at 19, maybe not coming off turn 2.
Now clears himself across Campbell. Now gives a bit of space back. Roberts 3 wide, now with Howe up the middle with Lewandowski. Nicholas Doucette joins the fray. Near contact as there goes Howe. Howe spun to the heart of the pack. Hit by 2 cars. Everyone sandwiches in. It's the big one at Michigan and hard licks for a majority of the top 20.
That is the huge one at Michigan. I mean, Alexander Russell's in it. Hancock's around. Larry Pace involved. Emily Howe just got run over like 3 times there. Run over by the 24, saved it. Run over by the 48. Jose Solis Jr. got a piece of that, I think. The 31 of Gabriel Mauricio took a hard hit. The 10 Ben Hancock almost went upside down. There was a lot of hard hits. The 12 involved in that, Timothy Lantham. The 32, Tyler Head in the 4. Russell, as I mentioned, I think the 27 of Dunkelberger got a piece of that as well. It's either the 24 or 27, or no, that's the 84 actually of TJ Crampton that got slammed up into the wall. Christian Budd, the 44. The 44 involved in that. Now we know the 55 and the 48 made contact earlier under caution, and we didn't understand what that was about. The 48 was what sent the 55 around for the last time. I couldn't imagine that 55 is after the 48.
No.
She's just going to bring it to pit road.
Yeah. So. Just trying to sort each other out to be able to make sure no one gets penalties here. But Emily Howe mandatory repairs, Mauricio mandatory repairs from the big one here in Michigan. TJ Crampton coming down to the pit lane. Here's how things started, and could kind of see this happening with Christina Ryan, Alex Kolinix, Sean Pellig right there near bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper. And then calamity ensues.
Yeah, just nowhere to go. I mean, this track is only so wide, so when they run out of room, they just start running over each other, and that doesn't work. 55 lifts, got a little loose, and then got hit once, saved it, got hit the second time, and that's what sent her around. And I mean, a lot of hard hits. The 31 especially, and I reckon here in the back, the 16, the 39.
Christian Budd's in it.
Yep.
That's huge for Christian Budd in particular. Plenty of others having tough times to get gathered up. Here's a look at Timothy 12. There was a car there. And now there are more cars there.
Yep.
And there's Ken Huff joining the fun.
Yeah. Just in case. Didn't want to get left out or anything, right? Is he on board?
Again, Ken Huff was one of the last cars in the pack here.
Trash collector sponsor, and
chose the run lane.
Yeah.
By the way, we're in that extra lap period we were talking about, so green flag, no yellow to freeze the pack. 2 laps to decide it now for Michigan.
Yep.
The driver's getting confirmation, pointing in a return over the radio to confirm that. And Solis Jr., where did he go in the 11 just now? A technical issue possibly for Jose Solis Jr. from the top 10, the defending spring champion before the restart. Now gets it gathered back up, but a few drivers having to dodge just in case.
Yeah, that's not good.
Looks like Jose at least will be here for the start.
I'm trying to figure out where in the world he's even at. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, The heck?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
I guess these things happen.
but it's 2 to go. No cautions from this point forward. Campbell and Holzer on the front row. Holzer on the inside, Campbell outside. Roberts and Lewandowski, Ryan and Nicholas Doucette. Pelican Kolonix. Then Solis Jr. and Ali Osman. Where did he come from is in the top 10 on the bottom. 9th starting position.
All right, here we go.
Final restart of the night for the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge to start off the summertime here on FTFGG. Holzer in control of the pack, waiting for the command from Barney as well to go. 32 cars, all on the lead lap here to close it out. Green flag is out, 2 to go for Michigan.
Oh man, somebody didn't get going in the back half of the field. They're wrecking. Huge wreck. The 90 did not get going, and we got 10 or so cars spinning and crashing here on the front straightaway, but the leaders are off and going. The 09 of Holzer just about clear of the 19. Can't quite get there up off the corner, side by side for the lead.
Technical issue for Zaire, part of that trigger for the caution, or rather the incident. No cautions from this point. Lap and a half to go. Campbell on the outside, 2 by 2 in the battle for the lead. Roberts trying to battle it up for third. Everyone drifting it out. Here comes Kolonix with a slight jump for fifth, coming to the white flag.
He's wrecking. Kolonix around. He gets hit by the 40, the 7 involved, the 49. Tyler heads around. Last lap. They are 3 wide for second. Holzer's clear for the lead. Campbell in the middle. Lewandowski up top. Here comes Dylan Roberts in the 8. Sends it down to the bottom. They're going to be side by side for second. That's all the 09 needs to see.
A major drift for Roberts. 3 wide again for second. Holzer looks to run away. Lewandowski looking for his best run for the Wood Brothers machine in this series. Looking to close it out. Campbell squeezes Roberts. Holzer looks to hold on to the grip. Holzer, the most laps for the night. Holzer holds on. Holzer wins it at Michigan. His first victory of the season for the summertime in WINSTEL. Lewandowski, Roberts, Campbell, the top 4.
And Lewandowski barely got second. I mean, photo finish. 5/1000ths of a second over the 8. And the 8 got turned after the flag and another hellacious crash. Oh my God, who was that? The 16. Flying in, Matt Skipper. And there's the 10 for good measure. It was already broken. There was a lot to analyze there.
2 different big ones on the last lap, but the main thing for Holzer for the win, everyone had a battle for second, and Holzer able to scoot away to secure the victory here at MIS. What a race for Holzer. Dominating pace from the get-go, it seemed. Leading the most laps, almost half of the race, in fact. Throughout this run, his first victory in the series. Or it's rather, his second, after picking up the victory in the Coke 600 to end the springtime, Jacob.
Back to back. How about that?
And what a run indeed, and what a finish here. Let's take a look at the wrecks that happened here. Lots to compact here. This is, for the reason for the 90, a screen issue is what has been reported.
Yep, Denny Hamlin. Basically, screen went black. Couldn't see. So nowhere to go, and sure enough, got run the hell over right there. A lot of tore up cars. And then here, Kolonix just comes up, not clear. 48 picks her tires up off the ground. And Calamity just back up across the track. The 49 blocks the track. Ugh.
Yeah, and Kolonix was wanting that bad. One of his best runs of the season in the entire series, if anything.
Yeah. Heartbreak for that 49, 45.
And several of the newcomers getting involved in the big ones there, too. But what a finish up at the front. Holzer picks up the victory back-to-back. Overall, first win in the summer when it comes to that 09 machine. The Dodge holds up the 4 to Thomas Lewandowski, who beat Dylan Roberts by 4/1000ths of a second. Zach Campbell, Christina Raya, a top 5, rounds out said top 5. Jose Solis Jr. finishes in 6th. Nicholas Doucette, Marcus Lindsay. Remember how he was 3 laps down? He comes back to finish in 8th. He gained spots from his qualifying position after a major technical issue before the start of the race. Pellig and Dunkelberger, who spun out before the pit stop window during the cautions earlier, round out the top 10.
Got a lot of people back here that were either involved in wrecks or did wreck or what. Christian Budd here in 11th, Ali Osman in 12th. Andrew Phipps, remember how he wrecked with his teammate? Well, 13th for him. Brandon Cruz-Montsevet in 14th. TJ Crampton 15th. Hayden Repas in 16th. Matt Skipper finishes 17th. Christopher Tate finishes 18th. Ben Hancock 19th. And Timothy Latham rounds out the top 20.
21st goes to Ken Huff. Then it's Chad Wolt. Quiet debuted in the 44. Then Andy Trupiano recovers from felony to finish 23rd. Alexander Russell amongst those and some of the big ones at the end of the race in 24th. Tower Head rounds out the top 25. Then McGee, Pace, Hancock, and Ryan Doucette round at the lead lap drivers. Lane Tidwell 1 lap down in 30th.
And the rest, either, well, they didn't finish for the most part. Alex Kalonix in 31st. Lilac Zier in 32nd. Emily Howe 33rd. Gabriel Mauricio 34th. Philip Snipes 35th. Parker Alexander 36th. Justin Rowden 37th. And Daryl Weininger finishes in the 38th and final position, only completed 1 lap.
That's all top to bottom at the running order for tonight. Unofficial race results there, but James Holzer back-to-back in WINSTEL Gen 4 action. It's starting off the summertime in Victory Lane. Jumping over to there now is James. He led the most laps tonight, 19 of the 42. How does it feel to go back-to-back in the Gen 4 Challenge for the WINSTEL competition side of things? James, do you have a copy?
What a great interview, James.
I gotcha.
How does it feel to be a winner?
Feels really good. Back to back since we won Charlotte the last race of the first season. So carried our momentum from there. And this setup was a handful. And basically we just really capitalized on these restarts and got out to the fresh air and was able to just kind of run the line that we want. Didn't have the best qualifying effort. I think we started like P9 or so, but made our way up through, just kind of managed the tires and was content to ride behind Nicholas there. And then we were coming in to make our green flag pit stops and the caution came out right as soon as we hit the commitment cone. So worked out ideal for us. And some people took 2 tires, some people took 4, some people stayed out. So all kinds of different strategies there and had a really good restart, was able to get below Lewandowski. And we were 3 or 4 wide going into turn 1 there and just held it down and we were able to clear them, and that was just kind of all it noted. The restarts were interesting just because some people were able to make the top work on the restarts, but I was just really able to make the bottom work. But I was able to hold on there through those last few restarts and bring it on home.
I was about to say, it was definitely 4 wide for the race lead at one point off the restart. And you mentioned the difficulty trying to battle in some of the dirty air. What was that feeling like in the midst of the pack? Because you did have to make your way through the pack and past some of those drivers who took 2 tires after the first caution to be able to get yourself in the conversation and in turn in the race lead to close it out tonight.
Yeah, just with the way these ARCA cars drive, especially with the setup, you really have to keep the right rear underneath you and just try to have the momentum going forward. So I was kind of backing up the entry just a little bit so that way I could have more momentum through the exit. And you could pass on the outside once the tires wore off a little bit, but you just kind of want to be as low as possible. Not below that bottom seam on anything other than the restart. I really couldn't make any time there, but just trying to keep that right rear underneath you was huge.
So back-to-back when it comes to WINSTEL competition for the Gen 4 Challenge, for the chase for the WINSTEL Cup, big points throughout the past few races. But now it's the major test up on Doc. It is the Dodge Safe Mart 350K. How do you feel about running on road courses?
I'm okay with them. I don't have a lot of laps at Sonoma, and these cars are a handful on the stock setup on a road course. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how this car drives, and definitely gonna have to make a couple laps throughout the week and just kind of see what we got. But just gonna try to keep all 4 tires on the track, and I think that's going to be the recipe to a top 15, top 10 finish, and that's really just what you got to do throughout these seasons. You just have to be really consistent, hang around that top 10. You don't have to go out there and win every race, but just the way these points are, you can't have more than, 2 bad races since there's a drop week, but really just have to keep consistent and try to strive for those top 10s, and that's just our goal for next week.
Congratulations once again, James, on the victory tonight. It Took a while and a lot of action around you, but you get it done.
Thank you, thank you.
James Holzer, your winner tonight here at Michigan. Second place, waiting for word from Thomas Lewandowski, but we do have Dylan Roberts, who gets to catch up with Jacob Pitts. Keep in mind, Jacob, Dylan was very quiet throughout that race until when the points were to be paid.
Quiet all night, but that number 8 machine was still in the top 5 for much of tonight. Just right place, right time. Take us through that last restart.
Oh, that was wild. I mean, just really tight racing up there with Zach and Thomas. And, you know, we let James get away from us, but it's just good battling up front. It's kind of a shame there was so many wrecks in the back, especially there on that last restart. But, I mean, those guys up front, it's a crazy race with them every single week.
If you could have gotten a long green flag run, Andy, you think you would have had a shot to take that number 8 to the front?
I'm thinking so. I didn't want that last caution to come out. I felt like I was sitting pretty with the 4 tires versus some of those guys on 2. James got ahead on the 4 as well. I don't know if I would have had something for him, but I think second was very much on the table.
Well, nonetheless, you come home with the top 3. Everything's going well, all things considered. Now you get a little bit of a wrench thrown in. You get away from the ovals for a week. We're going out west. We're going to Sonoma. In these things, what do you think? You have a shot?
I don't know if I'll be race-winning pace, but I think I'm definitely going to be able to mix it up near the front. Road courses are usually something I'm pretty good at. I'm no Zach Campbell, you know, pest guy, but I'm pretty good, so we'll see what I can do out there.
Well, congratulations on the top 3, Dylan. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Dylan Roberts comes home in P3 tonight from Michigan. JP?
I'd like to thank Dylan Roberts, James Holzer, for taking the time to speak with us here in this one. And on that note, quick final thoughts, Jacob, on a wild run here to the finish. It went to past the point of return, but it's James Holzer who leads the most laps to take back-to-back victories in this car.
You know, before the race started, I said I wasn't sure how clean we were going to be, and sure enough, we weren't all that clean, but, you know, we still had some good racing in there. A lot of side-by-side, a lot of guys just trying to set moves up. And I think that's part of the fun of this car-track combination is it's just so out of control that you're on edge and you're just trying to set people up, especially when the track is 9,000 degrees. It's really, really hard to get a move on anybody, but these guys did a pretty good job out there tonight.
With that, we'd like to thank you once more for tuning in for tonight's action for the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge here from Michigan, the Irish Hills, around Brooklyn, Michigan. Keep in mind that coming up next is the Racing to Remember Joey Mendoza 200 at Daytona's road course. That coming up in approximately 15 minutes from now here on FDFGG. So stay tuned as things transition over to FDF competition as we look to honor and remember Joey Mendoza. With that, it's time to say goodbye. For my co-announcer Jacob Pitts, for our producer and Zach Johnson, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching FDFGG for the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge and the 3M Performance 400. Congratulations to James Holzer, your winner from Michigan.